Hey guys, it's Ness here at Cake Style. Today I am sharing with you this amazing tart. It is now our favorite dessert of all time. It's that good. It's my white chocolate blueberry cheesecake tart. It doesn't have any gelatin in it at all. It's not really a cheesecake. It's just got lots and lots of cream cheese in it. It's amazing, delicious, fresh, and it's just perfect to share with your friends and family. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make short crust pastry. There is only 4 ingredients in this. It's really, really simple. Sugar, powdered sugar, flour, butter. You churn all of those up in a food processor or a blender. I have this blender and it's not quite as good as a food processor, but it seemed to do the job pretty well. And then I've got some ice water and I'm just placing a tiny bit in that. Mine didn't need very much at all to form this beautiful dough, which I flattened out and I placed it in a Ziploc bag just to chill in the fridge for about 15 minutes. I tried doing it without this step and it really kind of was quite difficult to get the case into the actual tart pan, and I ended up resorting to popping it in the fridge and it was perfect. You can see my little pup coming for a little visit in the kitchen with me. He loves wandering around and just seeing if anything falls off the edge of the counter. But I'm just rolling this out with 2 sheets of parchment paper. I take the top layer off from time to time just so that it doesn't sort of crinkle up too much, and it allows it to sort of roll a bit smoother. And I just find it's easier to make it nice and large. Now I've got a tart case and it has a releasable bottom, so the bottom can actually come out of it, and that makes it so much easier for later when we want to take this out of its pan. All I'm doing is pressing it in. This is a non-stick tin. I haven't worried about any sort of butters or any sort of coating at all. Just pressing it all into the pan, and then all I've done is just go around and level it off a bit. You don't want any tiny little thin bits, or otherwise they'll get burnt. Now I forgot to prick it with a fork in a few spots, so I did actually go back and do that before popping this into the oven. I've got my little pie weights. You can also use foil to cover this, and you're going to place this in a 190 degrees Celsius oven for 15 minutes. Then you're going to take all of those pie weights off and you're going to bake it again. Mine was for 5 minutes, but probably 5 or 10 minutes is good. While that's cooling, we're going to get started on the filling, which is quite possibly the best filling I've ever made. I've got some really nice, good quality chocolate. It's just white chocolate that's Lindt, really nice and creamy. And then I have some thickened cream. I'm going to be whacking this into the microwave, 30-second increments at 50%. Now, make sure you stir and stir and stir in between, because it's really important to not overheat this. So I popped mine in a total of 4 times into the microwave, but I just made sure I stirred really vigorously in between, because you'll be amazed at how much it will melt after it comes out of the microwave. I let mine cool for about 10 minutes or so that it just took the edge off. And now I'm going to be placing in my cream cheese. Now I am going to beat this and beat this and beat this, because I really want it to be creamy and puffy and fluffy, and it's just such an amazing light texture in your mouth. It's so good. Now moving on to the berries. If you have freeze-dried powder, go ahead and use that. I didn't have any, but I did have these freeze-dried berries, so I used a mortar and pestle and just crushed them up. I'm fairly certain that the color was a little bit paler for me than if you used the actual powder. So the look of your tart in the end may vary a bit depending on what kind of powder you place in. What I did was I divided my batter into 2, and I just did the coloring into 1. In the end, it kind of is the only thing you notice, but when you have a slice of this tart, you can see all the variation. And because it's mostly a white chocolate and cream cheese, I didn't want the whole thing to just look too overpoweringly blueberry. So I've kind of gone for a little bit of a swirl. You can see that this is fairly thick. What will determine how thick it is how much you whip it, as well as how warm it is. So if your ganache was a little bit warmer, it would probably be just a little bit softer and runnier. I liked how firm this was. It got me to be able to do lots of like smears and swirls, and it kind of reminded me of a lot of the sort of health food sweets that I'm seeing at the moment, with all the gorgeous speckles of all of our colors and just that imperfect kind of effect. And I really loved all of this texture. Now carefully take it out of its tin. I'm going to keep it on the base of the tin. There's no reason to sort of remove that. And I'm going to go ahead and pop on a little bit of extra chocolate. So I used 290 grams of chocolate in the tart, and then that extra 10 grams I ended up using for the decoration. So I bought 300 grams and I used all of it up by the time I added those little bits on. You can decorate in any way that you like. I loved having the blueberries. I swear you really, really do need to have the fresh berries with every slice. So save all of the extra ones, and when you serve it to your guests or your family, be sure to give everybody 2 or 3 blueberries, because it just really kicks it up a notch. And then I popped this into the fridge for about 30 minutes. That's all it needed to set. It is a beautiful recipe that lasts really, really well for a good few days. So just keep it stored in the fridge, covered, and this will just sort of mature in its flavor and its color as the days go on. But it's absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you again next week.